Mute myself just for a sec. Yeah, I'll press mute for a sec.
Good evening, everyone. I'll just let a couple of minutes. There's a few more people entering the room.
Good.
Okay, I think we'll make a start. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending tonight's webinar about the ECB County Grant Fund for 2026. I can't believe this year has come around so quickly again. So tonight, I'm going to take you through the process, how you apply for the funding, and the themes of the funding and key contacts at the end. Tonight's session is being recorded, so we will send the slide deck along with the recording and all the associated documents after the session, probably at the end of the week. So firstly, I just want to extend our thanks again to the ECB for funding this programme. We're really grateful for the continued funding of the ECB County Grant Programme, as we know the impact that it makes to community clubs across Wales. The funding for Wales comes out of the England and Wales Cricket Trust, and it's not government funded. So just to let you know, that is publicly funded, public money. This year, the ECB County Grant will be supporting women's, girls and disability cricket only. If your project doesn't link to any of those key areas, unfortunately, it will not be funded. Let me just take it through. Okay, so for those of you that don't know much about the scheme, I know there's lots of people on the call this evening that do know about the scheme and have been recipients of the fund previously, but there are some small changes in the fund this year, so I'm going to take everyone through all of the process. So the core purpose of the ECB County Grant is to support community clubs improving facilities across Wales. So there's three key themes this year: creating welcoming environments, providing enhanced playing facilities, and providing enhanced changing facilities. Now, those of you that all have been recipients before or have applied for the grant funding before, you'll realise that we did have tackling climate change in there. That's now not included in this grant programme. The key purpose or the key goal is to increase the number of women and girls playing cricket and the number of disability teams across Wales. One thing I do want to stress this evening is we will only be able to fund a small number of projects in the financial year 2026. However, there is commitment from the England and Wales Cricket Trust and the ECB to fund this programme for the next 3 years. So if your project isn't funded this year, or your project isn't ready because you haven't got all of the documentations, or you haven't got planning permission, etc., or you haven't got a lease sorted, then that's okay. Let's work on those key elements in 2026 to get you investment ready for 2027. So I'm just going to show you a short video. This was produced by the ECB, and it just gives you a flavour of what your club could look like. Now, this is all singing and dancing. This has every element of the perfect club, and I'm sure everyone will be ringing at Cricket Wales afterwards saying we want one of those. However, I just want to give you some ideas on some of the kind of projects you can do to improve your club.
A cricket club is a key part of the local community, encouraging engagement well beyond its core focus of cricket. This animation is intended to help make your cricket club facilities inclusive and welcoming to all. First impressions created on arrival can have a lasting impact on how visitors feel. Try to think about how new visitors using your club would feel upon entering the ground. Would they feel welcome or unsure of where to go? Providing adequate space for parking, accessible parking, and secure covered cycle storage will cater for different methods of arrival. Creating well-defined accessible pedestrian routes will allow safe passage across the car park to the main entrance. Lighting and signage at the entrance help to identify the way in. Glazed doors allow views inside, helping visitors to navigate the building and understand the immediate internal environment. An external canopy creates shelter in poor weather, and a roller shutter can be incorporated to manage security when the building is not in use. A typical player's journey. Careful consideration should be given to the first impressions made for anyone entering the clubhouse. Display area should ensure that all teams are equally represented, and a quiet room provides players individual private space when needed. Finishes and colours should be chosen to provide visual contrast between materials. This is particularly important for those with visual and sensory impairments. Signage needs to be carefully designed in order that it can be understood by a wide range of people. A bold and graphic signage strategy will help new visitors to navigate around the building. Changing facilities can have a significant impact on how people feel when using the clubhouse. Changing rooms may double up as coaching zones through the course of a game day, and you may want to restrict entry while changing is taking place. It should be the responsibility of the team captain to ensure that everyone is appropriately dressed before the sign is changed. Individual shower and changing cubicles should be provided. An enlarged accessible shower cubicle could double up as an individual changing space. All changing rooms should be clean, well lit, and well ventilated. Generous circulation space will allow access for wheelchair users. A dedicated vanity area should be provided that should be positioned at a suitable height within reach of wheelchair users and children. Providing accessible routes between the clubhouse and pitch is vital to encouraging a wide range of players at your club. A typical spectator's journey. An office or reception area close to the entrance will allow an easy point of reference for new visitors and a point of control for events. Clean and modern sanitary facilities should include a fully accessible toilet, which can incorporate a baby changing facility. Self-contained all-gender toilets will allow maximum privacy, with each toilet providing appropriate sanitary disposal facilities. A full overhaul of the club room could make a significant impact on how the space is used. This may allow your club to offer more community and social events, attracting a wider variety of people. Creating a series of zones within your club room using furniture, flooring, and lighting can help people to find an area that is comfortable for them. A good Wi-Fi connection and card payment system will assist with sharing club information and queuing at service areas. Offering a range of high-quality alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks and snacks can encourage people to spend more time at the club. New servery counters should be positioned at an appropriate height for a wheelchair user and accessible to children. Improving outdoor space and creating sheltered viewing areas will help make periods of rain and very hot weather more comfortable. A variety of flexible outdoor seating areas will allow spectators to find a space that suits their own particular needs. Consider the provision of suitable shade and weather protection, and always factor in sight lines towards the pitch. Temporary shelters and marquees will allow your club to hold larger events. By consulting with your players, spectators, and the wider community, and through the useful notes provided within the ECB Welcoming Environments Guidance Note, you will create a clear understanding of how your club may offer a high-quality experience for every visitor and provide seamless flexibility of use for a variety of events. This animation and the accompanying written guidance provide over 50 design points to consider when developing a welcoming clubhouse.
Great, thank you everyone. And hopefully that just gives you a flavour of some of the points that you may be able to develop projects from, and maybe as part of the funding you've picked up something from that small short animation that you can move forward with in your club. So first of all, we're going to go on to the eligibility criteria. This has changed quite significantly from previous years, so this is something that you will need to note. So the target groups I mentioned earlier, we're looking at women and girls and disability cricket. But as you'll note from the screen, from the PowerPoint presentation, that we do require a minimum amount of teams and fixtures completed and recorded on play cricket in 2025 to 2026 season. So that will be the season just gone. And you will need to deliver at least one of those target groups. And in relation to the disability cricket, you'll need to be either a disability champion club or a disability Premier League host club. Obviously, the more target groups that you are able to address, the stronger your application. And please note that in your application along the way. So there are a few requirements that the club does need to provide to progress with your application. And if you do need any support with obtaining any of these documents or need a further understanding, one of our members of the facilities team at Cricket Wales, either myself, Lucy or James, that I'll introduce later on, will be able to support you with this. So I'm just going to take you through these because these are non-negotiables for us and you will require these as part of the funding application. So your affiliation to the ECB or Cricket Wales. So you'll need to have a certificate of that, or we should be able to see by your entrance and affiliation to your league. A constitution or articles of association or relevant governing document. Now, if you've been previous recipients of the grant, you may have had some conditions around references into your constitution or your articles of association. Please, can I ask that these have been addressed before you apply for any further funding, as you will not be able to apply for further funding until those conditions have been met. Valid buildings, contents and public liability insurance. Now, the key word here is valid. Quite often we get applications that have these insurance policies have expired. Due to the number of applications, you will need to make sure that your insurance documents are in date. Otherwise, your application will be rejected because we get significantly oversubscribed for this fund. Security of tenure. So have you got freehold, leasehold, or do you have a license agreement of a minimum of 1 year? We will need to see evidence of this, so I recommend that you start to pull together some of these documents right now. A bank account in the club's name, and we would need to see a bank statement within the last 3 months. So your most recent bank statement. Financial accounts from last budget year. Your club safeguarding officer certificate, and they must be compliant on the Safe Hands management system. So it's worth linking up with your safeguarding officer prior to submitting your funding application to make sure that they are compliant on the Safe Hands management system. Adoption of the ECB Safe Hands policy and adoption of the ECB anti-discrimination regulations. And these will have been as part of the terms and conditions you signed up for when you affiliated this year. Additionally, depending on the size of your project, you will need 2 or 3 quotes, depending on the amount that you're applying for. Normally, it's 2 quotes for anything up to £24,999 and 3 quotes for anything over that. As per the same every year, there will only be 1 grant per budget year, and the ECB budget year runs from the 1st of February until the 31st of January. There is one of the most common questions I get asked is, can we apply for a grant again? As long as it's not within the same theme, yes, you can, and you won't be able to apply for the same project theme now until 2028. So if you have a project for changing rooms this year, you won't be able to apply until 2028 for that same theme. And that's the same in previous years as well. So let's go into the project themes a little bit. So as I said, creating welcoming environments, that's the same theme as in previous years. And this is about improving social spaces and modernizing your club, making them more welcoming for your community. So some of the example projects that you can put forward are improving your social space by buying new furniture, improving the flooring, extending a patio or putting a patio out there, decking, heating, or providing some double glazing or glazing your doors. New sanitary ware specific to your social space, not to your changing rooms, including baby changing. This is becoming more and more popular with clubs as they're becoming more family orientated. Providing catering units, professional appliances, barbecues, pizza ovens. I know throughout Wales, lots of clubs have been purchasing pizza ovens over the last year as they provide a really, really good source of income. What I would make sure is if you are looking at catering or kitchen appliances, please make sure that you've got the appropriate licenses within your local authority and the Food Standards Agency to go with that. Arrival and access, looking at your disability access, your exterior lighting, signage, car parking. And also we can look at some digitizing hardware for your club. We will only pay the initial installation fee. There will not be the ongoing fees for Wi-Fi. What I would say there are a couple of elements within this theme that do require planning permission. It's quite often where clubs trip up. So if you're looking at a patio, decking, and double glazing in some scenarios, you will need planning permission. And if your local authority says you don't need planning permission, then we would require that in writing. So it's probably worth looking at that at this stage. So then the second theme is enhancing playing facilities. So looking at high quality training and playing facilities. So this is around the non-turf pitches, specifically the ECB approved systems, which we will send a document out afterwards, and the non-turf practice facilities, so your outdoor nets. But as I said before, these must be from an ECB approved supplier, and we will send that documentation out following the call. And then the last theme is enhanced changing facilities. So providing inclusive environments for players and teams as they come to your club. So we will fund, as per previous years, refurbishments and extensions, upgrading changing room facilities, shower facilities, individual shower spaces with private drying areas, toilet provision, vanity units, tiling, flooring, grooming points and mirrors, hand dryers, hair dryers, and personal possession lockers. And this is something that we're really, really keen to support as clubs start to develop moving forward. So this is the question another question we always get asked, how much? How much can we apply for? That all depends on your project. So I would look at your project first and don't chase the money. Look at what your project is worth. So typical awards for creating welcoming environments and enhanced playing facilities will be from £1,000 to £15,000, but also for smaller changing room projects. This year, there has been an increase in larger scale projects for enhanced changing facilities that are valued over £30,000, and grant funding can be applied for up to £50,000 in this circumstance. What I must note here is you must meet the Sport England guidance when you're looking at your changing projects, and we will send these documents out afterwards. If anyone is looking at a larger scale project, what I would recommend is that you engage with one of our facility team members that will talk you through the guidance, and we can look at your plans as you're developing. This is not a project to be rushed, and we do have certain compliances that you would need to meet to ensure that you meet the criteria. Partnership funding, no minimum funding is required, although we actively encourage you to do this for all projects, but specifically for larger projects, we do want to see that match funding element. But that's not to say that you won't be fully funded for your project. That will be on a case-by-case basis and what the panel see at the time. Acceptable sources of that match funding are club funds, other grants. If you have got other grants, we will need to see evidence that you have been awarded those grants, sponsorship, or evidence of in-kind contributions. And we will require evidence of this as part of your stage 2 application. So it's, if you do have one of these sources, it's probably worth starting to collate that evidence now. Or there is the possibility of an interest-free loan to act as your match funding. And this can be jointly applied for when you do the county grant application. There is a box to tick there as well. So some key information from us. So this project is only for projects that have not begun and will not begin by the time that we agree which projects are successful or not. You cannot apply for anything that's already started or retrospective projects. Planning permissions, some projects require planning permissions. So if you're looking at extensions for changing rooms, non-turf pitches, outdoor practice facilities, so your nets, patios, paths, fences, gates, you will need planning permission. So it's worth actually engaging with your local authority as soon as possible to see whether you require planning permission or not and getting that evidence from them if you don't. But if you do, we need to start working on that programme as soon as possible. In terms of materials, we will only support new materials only. So we won't support reconditioned or secondhand goods. These aren't eligible. So things, if you're looking at kitchen appliances, we will only fund brand new kitchen appliances, or furniture, it will only be brand new furniture. So the timeline. So the application process is done on the ECB IMS portal, which is ims.ecb.co.uk. We will send out a link. You do need 2 people from your club signed up to the IMS portal to act as the signatories on your application. So again, it's worth starting that process prior to the grant programme opening, just to ensure you have everything in place administratively to allow you to apply. So the grant opens on the expression of interest opens on the 1st of February 2026, and the expression of interest will appear in the IMS portal. It's not there at the moment, so if you do go onto the portal at the moment and want to try applying, you can't. It's not there. It will only appear on the 1st of February. On the 16th of February at 5 o'clock, the expression of interest deadline, this will be the expression of interest deadline. After this point, we will not be taking any applications. We know we're always significantly oversubscribed for this fund, and which is why we only have a 2-week window on our expression of interest process. The panel will then convene on the 20th of February. And by the 24th of February, all applicants will be informed of the outcome, whether you're successful or not. And that will happen via the IMS system. So you'll get an automated email to let you know whether you've progressed to stage 2 or your application has been rejected at this time. So on the 24th of February, for those applicants that were successful, you will have a stage 2 application open. This does not mean that you're guaranteed the funding at this time. This means that we've taken your expression of interest and we'd like to take you forward to stage 2. This will open a full application and will ask you for all the due diligence documents that I talked about at the beginning. Stage 2 of the application closes on the 18th of March, and applications must be submitted by 5 p.m. After this time, we will not accept applications. The panel will then reconvene, and by the 27th of March, all applicants will be notified of the final outcome. After this date, you will receive a contract from the ECB. And once you've signed your contract, you can start completing your project. So if you want to complete it before the season, you're more than welcome. If you want to do it in season, some projects that can happen in the season. And if you want to complete your project post-season, the decision is yours. But what I would recommend is in your application, please put your start date after the 27th of March. Otherwise, it will be referred back to you. We are requesting that all projects are completed by the 15th of December. And the reason for this is if your contract from the ECB will say the 31st of January. What we note is that we do still have projects that are still outstanding now. And if their invoices are not with the ECB by the 31st of January, the funding will not be released to you as a club, and you will not get that. So that gives you a little bit of leeway if you are chasing contractors for invoices. So just to let you know, the general ECB window opens from the 1st of February to 30th of November. Different county boards operating different ways. We only open a window once per year from the 1st to the 16th of February, and that's to give all community clubs as much time as possible to complete your projects in that financial year. Okay, another date for the diary. We will hold an online drop-in clinic on Thursday, the 22nd of January from 9:30 till 6:30. And this will give you an opportunity to book a 15-minute slot with myself and the team to initially discuss your project and to see if you require any help. And Lucy and James will also be in that. So if they're a development partner for your area, then they can follow up with that afterwards. The booking link will come out in the follow-up email that we'll send across after the call. So just to recap we've had quite a lot of changes at Cricket Wales over the last couple of months. So just to recap who are your key contacts here. So Lucy King is the club development partner, and she covers Blaenau Gwent, Caerphilly, Cardiff, Merthyr Tydfil, Monmouthshire, Newport, Torfaen and Vale of Glamorgan. And James Williamson is the club development partner, and he covers Rhondda Cynon Taf, Bridgend, Neath Port Talbot and Swansea. If your local authority wasn't read out, it's being covered by me at the moment while we appoint for the positions in North and Mid Wales and West Wales. So if you do need any contact directly, please can you direct contact to either the club development partners or myself. As I said earlier, for larger scale projects, it's really imperative that you do contact a member of the Cricket Wales facility team before proceeding, as there are lots of compliances that do need to be met as part of this process. So get in touch early is best to receive the support. And finally, I'm going to introduce you tonight to UES, who are our official building services partner. As part of the feedback I've received from clubs over the last 3 years, they found it difficult to proceed with projects as they haven't got an appropriate contractor that provides quality, compliance and support. Over the last couple of months, we've been working with UES, and in August, we finalised our official partnership and launched it recently. And they were also our headline awards partner at our volunteer awards this year. So I'd like to invite Darren to the call, and Darren's going to talk you through a little bit more about UES and what they do.
Hello. Apologies for the really bad headphones, but I couldn't find small ones, and I've got kids and dogs running around in the background, so it's a lot easier to have these on. Yeah, UES have been working with cricket for quite some time before we actually partnered up with Wales. We've been working with Gloucestershire and Somerset for a good couple of years before I met Victoria and we started this journey. We were predominantly like a plumbing, heating and electrical company for a long time. But we've slowly moved into the fit out facilities, the all-round building services over the last few years, and it's grown leaps and bounds. And along that journey, we found ourselves busier and busier doing sports and cricket, and getting to know all of these sort of legislations and rules and compliances you have to follow in order to get these funds through and get the work done. It's just myself that covers all the cricket at the moment, so I drive all over the place, just like the team, and go everywhere all over Wales. I was up in Wrexham not long ago, so it's I get some distance on the tyres, but we understand that not every club. That video was lovely, but most clubs don't look like that, don't have the space to be like that, and you'd have to knock every wall down in the building to make it anywhere near that. But we can always do something. There is always a way to configure a space, to change a space, or make it compliant by your needs. From all the years I've been doing this, I've never seen the ECB come down on anyone or change anything that they can see is it's just unachievable. They've been very good towards helping, as long as you're doing your best and we're doing our best to make it what the best you can do with your club. I've never seen one not go through and not work. I come from a plumbing and heating and fit out background. In fact, before I was off the tools, I fitted a fair few of these club changing rooms and big fit outs and heating systems and renewables and everything we do as a company. So I tend to come out, I will meet with you, I will go through your needs. I will then tell you the bits you can't have or tell you the things that just won't be achievable. And I will always be completely honest. There's no point me telling you can have everything that you've ever dreamed of when it's just not achievable. And as we know, there is always a pot of money to work with. So yeah, we can make it work with nearly every club. We'll do all of the work, we'll do the drawings, we'll give you a quote, we'll get everything together to make it as easy as possible for you, so that you haven't got to try and find these other contractors or really stretch. Because what we've seen, especially in cricket and sports, there isn't actually that many contractors who understand how to put a proper changing room together that works with you. So yeah, I think I'm happy to answer any questions anyone's got about anything to do with projects and work.
Perfect. Thanks, Darren. That was really, really helpful. And just to follow up with that, we will be, if you want to contact UES, all the details are on our website under our partnership page, but we will also send across their information. But it's probably best that if you are looking at a project and do want to engage with UES, to contact Lucy James or myself, and we can put you in touch with Darren directly, just so we're ensuring the project is scoped initially, just to support Darren, because I'm sure he's going to have a large number, an influx of people contacting him after this call. And that kind of ends our presentation this evening on the process. And I just wanted to open up to any questions that anyone has. If you want to pop any questions in the chat, or happy to take yourselves on off mute if you do want to, and I'll do my best to answer. Does anyone have any questions? There's a question from Riaz. Are upgrading men's toilets out of the scope for creating welcoming environment? No, they won't be, Riaz, if it's in the social area, as long as it's impacting more people. What we would prefer is that they're gender neutral toilets. So we won't fund urinals anymore. We will only fund cubicle toilets.
Hi, Victoria. It's Gary here.
Hi, Gary.
Hi. Now, could you talk me a little bit more through the matched funding aspect? I didn't quite catch whether it was mandatory or not. I just wasn't sure.
No, it's not mandatory, Gary. Applications are obviously strengthened if there is an element of match funding. In previous years, we've done our best to fully fund projects, as we know the financial pressures on clubs. If you can provide some match funding, obviously the pot of money that we have from the ECB goes further across the cricketing landscape, but it's not mandatory.
Okay, thank you.
I think there was another question. A question, how many clubs will get grants? I'm unsure because it'll depend on how many clubs come in with applications. We have a budget of just over £300,000, so our budget has we have significantly more money than previous years. Last year we funded, I think it was 19 or 20 projects on a budget of 180,000. So hopefully we'll be able to do a few more of that. It depends how many projects come in for changing rooms and are looking at that upper ceiling of £50,000. Can projects have multiple themes such as a new patio? That would all come under one theme. The multiple themes, so new patio, disabled ramp access would come under one theme. But if you're looking at a changing project, that would be a different theme, but you will only be able to come under one theme.
Victoria, just to add to that, if you had one theme, but you had multiple things in that one theme, would that be appropriate, or can you just only have one change project within the theme?
It depends what it is. I know that doesn't actually answer the question. So
For
for
example,
example,
for example, the toilets and canopy, right, outside area, as well as the toilets, right, that would be part of the enhancing your environment, yeah. But it is two different.
Yeah, you could have more than one under that theme.
Okay, cool.
As long as they linked as part of one project.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, you will need more than one quote. So depending on the size of your projects, if you will need 2 quotes if the project is up to £24,999 and 3 quotes if it's over. Sorry, I'm scrolling through these questions. Yes, if you had something like a barbecue and outdoor furniture in 2025, you can apply for disabled toilets this year because that would be a different project. Yes, as long as you're, Paul, this is the answer to your question. If you've got a rolling lease, and we can see that it's valid for more than 1 year, yes, we can support you. And what I would look at is actually, can we support you as a club in extending that lease any further to provide you security in the future? Paul, I think James is your club development partner, so it might be worth dropping him a call in the coming days to see how he can support you. We don't support professional fields such as planning consultants or architects as part of the project. Yes, Rob Bryant. Yes, if you can drop what, I don't know what club you are, I think, or Lucy's contacted, it's written back. If you can let us at the end of the call, if you can stay on, let us know what club you are. And we are absolutely always willing to support with negotiations with the council. We know that they can be quite tricky to navigate at times. So yeah, please get in touch. Yes, if your project is over £50,000, it won't get declined. We'll look to support you with other elements and how we can bridge that gap. So that could be an interest-free loan, or it could be applying for other funding via a local authority. Sarah, yes, the criteria now will stay the same until 2028. So we have that security that the funding has been allocated, and this is likely to stay the same until 2028. So Josh, you asked a question of if successful, when will the funding release? The funding's only released on completion of the project. So you will have to submit your invoices and then the funding will be released. Sorry, guys, there's so many questions. I'm trying to read really quickly here. Yes, Holly, you asked about, will this be the main funding focus from now until 2028? Yes, the priorities won't change. It will still be disability, women and girls cricket, and we won't be deviating from those priority areas. Yes, the interest-free loan is up to £50,000. Have I Yes, it can be softball or hardball, as long as the games are registered on Play Cricket and there's a minimum of 3 games registered last season. Have I missed anyone's question? I'm really sorry. I don't know if I've answered them all.
Yeah,
If I
we've got
haven't-
another question from Josh Baker. So he just said, so you need to self-fund it basically until completion if you are successful.
Yeah, if you're working with contractors, Josh, normally that they will just provide you an invoice on completion, and then you put the invoice in, and then we'll pay you within, well, ECB will release the funding within 2 weeks.
Victoria, you know when you make the application, yeah, and you've done it previously,
Yeah.
and you were successful, things like your constitution, your safeguarding policies, etc., already on the system. So why do we have to keep repeating the same thing every year of key documents that are not going to change?
Well, some of them do change. If you have changes to your constitution that you should be reviewing yearly, but also your safeguarding officer will only be valid for 3 years. And there's lots of clubs that change their safeguarding officer year on year. These need to be updated, and we need to ensure that we have the right information and due diligence. Hopefully the system in some cases is clever enough to pull in through your documents, but when you've had conditions, it won't pull through that. It may not pull through that document because we need to ensure that you've met that condition on your previous grants. The ECB are hoping that the system, they have a new version of IMS. I'm just not sure if it'll be up and running in time for the 1st of February. Hopefully it will.
Yeah, it's a bit like the deed, right? So we have we would donate the land right over 120 years ago. For me to go back to the solicitors to try and retract, the same artifact that I previously put on.
You can go back onto your previous application.
Can you? Okay.
Yes,
Right.
Riaz, and just download it from there.
Okay, fine. Great.
Anything else from anyone? Sarah, you will need to book an appointment on the 22nd. My diary will be open if you haven't arranged anything. I'm sure there'll be an awful lot of people on this call that want to meet in, so I would very much recommend booking an appointment in as soon as possible. Yes, the presentation and all the appropriate documents will be sent after this. Chris, you asked if Leslie comes under me. That's Carmarthenshire, isn't it? If it's Carmarthenshire, it's me. Yeah, it's me. I feel I might be inundated here.
Vic, can I just pop in on about the CSOs?
Of course you can.
We're obviously we're starting our CSO training this weekend up in Cardiff. Then we travel down west, up to north as well. At a minimum, we're looking for brand new CSOs to be booked onto a course to show commitment that the club's going to get somebody qualified.
By the end of the stage 2 application, though, all the courses should have been completed.
Yeah, unless we do any mop-up courses.
Great. Any other questions? I'll stay on for the next 5 minutes if anyone does want to answer any questions. Otherwise, thank you very much for attending, and good luck with your projects. James, do you want to end the recording?